Welcome to a Drop Tent Media production.
The Porcupine with Adam Nutter.
Yo, what is up, brother and sister bears? Welcome to another Porcupine. Adam Nutter, you know that. Hey, how are you? Again, follow me at Adam Nutter on all the social media. Yay, go do that. Twitter. I really only care about Twitter. Just go to Twitter. Twitter at Adam Nutter. Follow me there. Of course, subscribe to the YouTube, youtube.com/Adam Nutter. Odyssey. I'm on Odyssey also because this will eventually probably get banned from something I'm sure about to say. Reads on today. So, good chance. So it's going to get banned. So go to my Odyssey, odyssey.com/Adam Nutter. Please go there and subscribe. Also support Odyssey. Fuck YouTube. Honestly, this is trash. Go to Odyssey anyway. Oh yeah, the big thing this Saturday, because this is live, this Saturday up in New Hampshire. I'll be there at the Shell doing comedy. One show, 8 p.m. this Saturday. Tickets, droptent.com/events. Get your fucking tickets. Come to see me in New Hampshire. We're going to talk about dick jokes and drugs and bad relationships and probably zero liberty, but a lot of dick jokes. So coming out to that. Again, tickets, droptent.com/events for tickets for that. And if you just want to support this show personally, it'd be great if you could go buy a shirt. Yes. Boom. Go buy a shirt. Droptent.com/store for your very own Porcupine shirt. And of course, Top Lobster art for the man himself. That's enough about me. All right, guys, my guest, he needs no introduction. You guys know him. You guys love him. For the Naturalist Capitalist podcast, the mad trucker himself. Give it up for Reed Coverdale, everybody. Yay. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Adam. How are you?
Good, man. Good. Thanks for coming on, as always. How's the roads been?
Good. I actually didn't work today because my truck is having some issues, but yeah, it's been good, been busy, been working like pretty much 60, 70 hours a week, going all over the place. So yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, it's every time, like, I'm so not a man in some categories in life. Like every time you or like Top or any other man on Twitter.
Whoa. Did you just say Top as a comparison for a man? Like,
sorry.
That's a little, I don't know.
You or an
just somebody
anthropomorphic animal.
Yeah, there we go.
Who identifies as a human being. Talk about any type of car thing, like, oh, my shaft or anything. I go, cool, man. I just pretend like I know what you guys are talking about. I don't like no one ever asked me like a car question. Like my manliness ends with sports and like I know how to fight. Like it ends there. Anything else like cars and shit like that, I'm like, I can't.
Well, you got me on the sports, man. Like when someone's talking about football, I'm like, so is that the orange one that like bounces, or is like the? No, I'm not quite that bad, but I'm pretty bad. I don't really know sports that well.
Okay.
So.
This is a good man question then for you, because for me, I never got into cars and like fixing stuff because I always looked at it like, it just doesn't interest me. I'd rather just go throw a football around. But now I regret it, right? At 35, I'm like, fuck, I really wish I learned anything about cars or fixing stuff. But what was it for you? Like, just like, I don't give a shit about sports. Like, I just never cared about like.
Yeah, I mean, I was on the ski team and that was it in high school. So I wasn't on like the baseball team or the soccer team or anything. So I don't know. I just never was really into it. And then I started working early. So then I got into mechanics when I was like, I'm not a mechanic. I just know how to do a lot, but I got into it when I was like 21 or so. And I like replaced the engine in my pickup truck and, learned how to do all the brakes and the suspension and all that type of stuff. So, but yeah, I don't know. Like it's kind of funny. I'm from a really small school. There's only 120 kids that were in the high school on average. And I'm 6 feet tall and I was like the second tallest kid in my class or something. So like it was a tiny school. I remember going to one basketball game and the shortest guy on the opposing team was just like a little bit shorter than me. And then, like almost everyone on the basketball team from Sunapee was shorter than I was. I was just like, wow, guys, this isn't looking good. But
dude, I went to I grew up in Staten Island, New York, so I played football there my whole life. But like I went to a Catholic high school and we played in the Catholic, football division. But every now and then, like we would play like outside of our division, like in the later games, and we would play like fucking just like school. Like we thought we were bigger for like Catholic high school kids. Like, like average kid was like 6 foot at high school, 6'1". We're like, yo, we're like the big. And then you see literal monsters in high school, and you're like, oh, this isn't meant for us. Like this isn't meant for us. Like they're meant to do this, not us. We just thought because we were in a bubble, and then we got out into the real world. Like, no, we'll fuck you up. Like, okay, sorry, my mistake.
Yeah.
Obviously, I brought you on today to talk about one thing, which I think we in our world a lot for what we do is the new Elon Musk world of Twitter. And I'm excited. I get to say faggot again, hopefully on Twitter soon. So, good.
Yeah, it's been amazing to watch. Like, I don't think anything structural has even necessarily changed yet, but everyone is really excited, and then the other half is really like melting down in a hilarious way. It's like, has any? I don't think the transactions even taken place yet or anything. So it's just like amazing watching everything blow up already. It's insane.
Not only did 0 transactions physically officially take place yet, but again, people are like, faggot. Just like going nuts on Twitter. I'm like, I still think you get banned, guys. I'm like, calm down. Like, slow down. It's kind of like I feel like when Prohibition lifted and like in America for the first time, it was like, I'm gonna just die from alcohol poisoning. Like just no moderation. It's like that. But like, I don't know, dude. Like, I mean, I hope. I mean, from everything that we've probably seen together and all the things that he's been saying publicly, hopefully it's a better platform. But I don't know, dude. He might get in there, but like, you know what? I actually kind of want to take this a different direction and just ruin the platform. He might make it worse. Like, not in the sense of like free speech, but like, I don't know. Like, what are your true thoughts on like the Elon Musk Twitter buy?
Well, I think Elon Musk bringing free speech to Twitter is the most fascist thing we've seen since the lifting of the mask mandates on airplanes. That was the most. No, I don't know, man. Like, and I don't even like Elon Musk. Like I think he, like the Neuralink stuff he's into, and I don't even like electric cars, and he might have some ties to Epstein and stuff, but it's not really about like if you like him or what he stands for. It's just, okay, is he going to buy Twitter and make it a free speech platform? If he does that, I don't really care what I agree or disagree with him on, or, whether I like him or not or whatever. So I don't really know. Like, I mean, I don't know why he'd be investing in this otherwise, so I mean, it can't get much worse than it was, That's
like, what I'm saying. Yeah.
So
it was so bad.
I mean, at this point, it's like, yeah, sure, why not? Something different, who knows what'll happen. But we know every alternative platform sucks. Like Getter, I was kind of the pioneer of free speech on Getter. I was like, oh, free speech, okay, let's see. And I tried everything in the book, and within hours, I was already losing posts. They were just getting disappeared. So Twitter, the other thing about Twitter is like, if those banned accounts come back, it's the place where everybody is. Like Getter, it was like Alex Jones and Steve Bannon and all these right-wing dudes. Right. Nancy Pelosi's not on there. So like Twitter is this amazing thing where if they stop banning people, you can talk to everybody, which is kind of cool. So I don't know. I'm hopeful. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, Twitter was like this weird it's like we all agreed. I guess it was like the first of its. It was like the first of its kind, right? Like Twitter was like the original, like of that type of social media. So I guess we all just kind of naturally agreed that was like the go-to like corner, like bodega almost of like we all go here to talk shit. Yeah. And like other people were like, well, I opened up this new like club down the road. We're like, fuck you, that club sucks. Like we go to Twitter, and then even though we're like Twitter sucks though, this place sucks, right? We're like, yeah, we're gonna go to that new club. We're like, nah, I'll just stay here in Twitter and just keep slinging shit back and forth. So it is weird that like I think because it's not weird, it does make sense. It falls into echo chambers, right? Because like the Getter, even though they weren't like right wing necessarily, it was still people who weren't left wing, right?
Yeah.
And then all of the middle guys like us and all the right wingers, we all were like, well, let's try this out. And then we just found out, like you said, like the Coverdale fucking testing shit out on Getter days were very fun for us. Because he would just take a screenshot and just post it on your Twitter. Like I try to say this, they wouldn't let me. It's like, but that's kind of my point. Is like they're all kind of hypocrites, right? So it all comes back to Twitter just being the agreed upon town square. So no matter what you make, it's still gonna fall on Twitter, I guess is my point.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't much fun on Getter because, first of all, they'd remove a lot of the posts. But Second of all, I was trying to get out of that like libertarian echo chamber in Getter because all the libertarians went over and then they were just following each other. So I was like, okay, I want to piss off some boomer cons. Like I want to talk some Israel shit or talk about Trump like spending more than Obama did in his last year. Like I want to do this. So I finally was having like a little bit of conservative crossover and finally like stirring some stuff up. But it seemed like Getter was extra echo chambery, and not just because there were no left wingers, but it was like extremely like the InfoWars people were all in one area, and then the libertarians were in one area. Where Twitter, there's a ton of like crossover, you just because everything can get retweeted by anybody and just end up anywhere, so you never know where it's going to go. And I've told Marianne Williamson to shut the fuck up twice. Got banned on, or I got blocked from her on my current account, but my last account I told her to shut the fuck up when I know she saw it and everything. And you just can't do that on Getter. It's not as much fun. So yeah, that's why I've stayed.
You're right. It's not fun. It's not fun because you just said it. It's either all of us on there, and I'm already friends with all of you, so I'm not going to obviously fight with you. Like the friends are going to fight with each other, so that's already a thing that's not going to happen. And then again, you have just the conservative base who's like they're not going to fight over the fun stuff. Israel, sure, but like they're not going to fight over like the woke shit, and that's more fun. In my opinion, fighting over that stuff on Twitter is more fun than like the Israel stuff on Twitter. In my opinion, I know that's not your bread and butter. Your bread and butter is the Israel thing, but for me, making fun of like some fucking person like who's like. I think we should just put fucking like hormone blockers in cereal. Like that person's more fun to fuck with than like the BoomerCon who's like, we should put missiles in Israel. Like that's more serious.
Yeah. Well, the January 6th thing, that's really my staple. And
that was fun.
That doesn't get a reaction on Getter because no one gives a shit, but like on Twitter. Yeah. I made this I can't remember the wording of it, but it was perfect the way I worded it. And it, for weeks, I was getting replies from shitlibs who were just losing their minds over how I phrased it. And it was beautiful because however I phrased it was completely true, but it was just phrased in a way that was purposefully going to piss everyone off.
Yeah, of course.
I think, though, like if you do get conservatives outraged, that takes a little more skill because liberals are so easy to piss off. It doesn't take any skill. If you could get a bunch of Trump supporters or boomer cons just furious at you, trying to report you or whatever, that's impressive. And I've had that happen a couple times. But that's the gold prize if you can do that.
If you really want good fucking golden ticket. You're right. It's harder, but also like just be like, who sucks? The cops. And they're like, oh, you fucking bitch. And they're like, like, all right, there you go. And it's also funny because like all their profile pictures are the same. It's just the dude in a truck with the selfie with like glasses. It's like that's it.
Yeah.
My favorite hack response from again, I usually argue more with lefties on Twitter because it's easier and more fun.
Yeah.
But I guess with the righties too. For me, because I'm a comic, so it's very open that it's my full-time job. So like that's what I do. And the response I get back when I shit on them is oh, you're not fucking funny. Nailed me, got me. I crushed it. Do you get a fucking, like, from people who don't know you, a fucking standard reply from people, like, about, like, they go after, like, your fucking trucking or your drive, like something like that, or no? Because it's super common for me to be like, you fucking suck at comedy. No one's going to your shows. And it's like, you were never my fan. I don't know if you know this, but you never were going to like me, blue-haired lady. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm never losing anything here. But like, do you ever get anything like that? Like, just a fucking standard response?
You know me. I'm extremely sarcastic. And it's just, usually I'm doing something that's so obviously ironic. But then I do get a lot of people who don't see the irony in it. And they'll just be like, how could you say that? That's so dumb. And I mean, I don't have like a standard response as far as words go, but that's usually the most common, like, oh my God, like people just don't get it. Or I make a poll, where like, who do you want for 2024? Hillary Clinton or George W. Bush, and people will be like, neither or whatever, it's just like, never, just go away. Like those people, the midwits, the midwits are the worst. Like I prefer the absolute retards to the midwits. The midwits can go fuck themselves. They're so annoying.
So agreed. I agree with you so much. Yeah, it's like that Dr. Evil line. It's like, Scott, you just don't get it, do
Yeah.
you? It's like that a lot of times. It's like you're not getting what we're doing here. It's like it's not that we like the thing we're saying, it's that we're pointing out the blatant hypocrisy or irony from a certain side of that's why we're saying this. I'm like, that's comedy 101 also, by the way, which is annoying that people don't understand that. Even if you're not a comic, like you should still understand the basics of like a joke. Like irony is one thing.
Yeah.
Dark humor is another subset.
And then
like,
hyperbole, that's the other
hyperbole
thing.
is another one.
Hyperbole is a form of joking, and then people come and be like, that's not technically true, blah, blah, blah. It's like, go fuck yourself, dude. It was a hyperbolic joke proving a point. That was all that it was. Like,
Reed, I put a tweet out the other day that I said, I only respect the Eastern time zone. If I tell you a time, like assume I mean Eastern, take your mountain time zone and kick rocks.
Yeah.
And people were quote tweeting me, be like, look at this clown. Like, I really give a shit about time zones.
Yeah. I had one like that. It was so I think it was fake news, but did you hear about this supposed bill in California that you could basically kill your infant after 7 days after it's born or whatever?
Yeah.
I think it was fake, but
that sounds real from California,
right?
Though,
yeah,
so
that was the thing.
That sounds real.
That was what was so concerning about it is you couldn't tell if it was real. It's like, is this real or fake?
But Onion article or real?
But it was fake. But anyway, I quote tweeted a video about it. And I said, to be honest, I think you should be able to put your child down until they're off your health insurance. Obvious joke. I had some like trad Catholic people freaking out at me like, oh, just when I thought you'd stop being cringe, Reed, and then you have one of these takes. It's like, oh my God.
It's almost like you want to be like, look at me. You really think I meant you should be able to murder a 24-year-old adult? Like, you really thought that's what I meant? No, look at me and answer me that. Like, I want you to answer me. Like, do you really think I meant that? It's like, come on, dude. It's like how crazy or something. It's not even crazy. It's like, okay, I don't know if you watched Clint debate the Hody guy on Dan on O'Day. It pretty much boiled down to Hody, and like I don't even consider him like a cathedral guy or like a Lowbert really, but like I still consider him a leaning of that way type of dude, and that whole crew. And I mean this, truly do not understand humor.
No, of course not. Yeah.
So like any subtlety, nuance is truly taken as like fact or just, and I'm like, oh, you guys truly don't understand what a joke is. I'm like, I'm sorry for taking you so seriously. I'm sorry for being so mean to you guys. like you truly don't understand humor. Like it's wild when you start to understand that. Like, I don't know.
If you notice, a lot of those same people, so the shitlibs don't understand humor, the Lolberts don't understand humor, and then a lot of the boomer cons don't understand humor.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that they're also the same people who don't see through propaganda, right? Like they're almost all of them are the stand with Israel or stand with Ukraine, like in the Libertarian Party, and then with the Republicans, it's Israel, and with the Democrats, it's Ukraine. Like pretty much across the board. And it's the same people who don't get the jokes. They don't understand subtlety. They don't understand irony because that part of your brain just doesn't function, I guess, and if it did, you would be able to tell when people are bullshitting you, because that's what humor is, right? You're bullshitting someone in a way. And so if you're smart enough or you're aware enough, you just pick up on it and you go, oh, okay, haha. But if that part of your brain doesn't work, then you're a perfect NPC. So I don't know.
And like, listen, we've all been caught with like really good sarcasm.
Oh, sure.
Like we've all, dude, it happens to the best. Like, of course. But then I go, oh shit, fucking idiot. How could I not see that? But that's so far and few. I could count almost on my fucking hands how I've been legitimately caught from that. Yeah. Them, it's like every joke. It's like like you could give them a knock joke. It's like, well, what do you mean by that?
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't know, man. I just thought it was funny. Like that, you don't even want to explain. Like, it's to the point where like you don't want to explain it because it's not fun to explain a joke, and then you're just like so frustrated. You're like, I don't know. I was trying to have fun in my life. You should try it sometime.
Yeah, there was Toad put a tweet out about there was the 29th anniversary of the Waco raid a few days ago. So he put, instead of David Koresh, he had a picture of Adam Kokesh and said, like, the raid in Waco took place 29 years ago today. Adam Kokesh did not survive. obvious joke. It was hilarious, but he had over a dozen people coming into the comments saying, actually, his name was David Koresh. It was just like, okay, thanks. Wow, didn't know. I mean, I made one last night. You know, you see me do the jokes about like Google blah 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 to find out more, and
yeah.
So I made one last night saying is basically Israel cares so much about our planet that they decided to make a clean break from fossil fuels about 20 years ago, including oil that they were getting from Saddam Hussein, and they came up with what did I call it? Like Paramount. Yeah. Oh yeah, they called it Paramount. Paramount. Oh, what did I say? I forget how it was. I made some joke acronym for PNAC that wasn't Project for New American Century. It was something else about banning crude oil or whatever. And so I said like Google Israel PNAC clean break Saddam to learn more or whatever. And I had people telling me in that like, no, PNAC stands for Project for New American Century. I'm just like, yeah, that's the point. Like if you Google it, that's what will come up. It's just like, but people,
like, yeah, man,
get it,
I get it. We all have autism. I get it, but like, tone it back.
Like, well, does that bother you? Because I feel like in general, like I am on the spectrum somewhere. So like, if it's just a bunch of normal people, I'll be the one who's paying a little bit too close attention to detail or whatever. But then when I'm in a liberty sphere, like at a libertarian event or something, I'm just like, wow, I am definitely one of the most high functioning people here. That's kind of concerning. Do you run into that a lot or?
Listen, I've said this joke 100 fucking times in this podcast and their podcast, but like I go to a lot of fucking Mises events and libertarian events from comedy, and I hang out at all I love everybody. And man, some conversations I have are just so, I'm like, hey man, you got to make eye contact with me and like try to talk about something that's not about taxes or like, it's like so fucking. And the other thing is like, again, single libertarian dudes trying to bang single libertarian chicks is almost, they're like pandas. Like you can't make them fuck. You know what I'm saying? How like, like you put like the Chinese are like, go fuck each other. And they're like, nah, yeah. It's like the same. Like you could take a pee and be like, go. Yeah. And they're like, no.
Yeah. You'd be like halfway into it and be like, okay, well, let's talk about civil asset forfeiture though. Like this is no way you could actually make it happen.
Yeah. David Brady brings up, I talked about this on the show on my comedy podcast, Cult of Us. Everybody should listen to that podcast. I've heard this before, but after I opened for Dave in PA, and one of the guys, Mises guys, come up to me afterward, and he's like, "Hey man, I love the podcast." I'm like, "Thanks." And he's like, "I'll be honest with you, didn't really care for your set. Kind of crass, not really funny, kind of rude." I was like, "You don't have to tell me any of that. You don't have to tell me any of that."
Dang.
Could just said, "Enjoy your podcast and keep going and not hurt my feelings." Because like, especially like with comics, I could have had 99 of 100 people be like, "That was a great show." That one person's like, "I didn't like it." I'm gonna be like, "Well, why?" Like, yeah. I'll hyper focus on that one person and be like, "Well, why didn't you?" Which is so not healthy for sure.
Yeah.
But
well, it's just the autism from the people. I mean, like I always kind of use that as an excuse for everybody. I'm like, well, it's sort of like with Jesus getting crucified on the cross. He's like, "Forgive them, Father, they know not what they do," or whatever. Like you just got to have that attitude toward libertarians. It's like, all right, whatever. Like they don't know what they're doing. They can't help it. Like
so. I wasn't even mad. Like I'm still not mad about it. I'm just like, I'm like, it's okay. I know him. I know he is. Like it's fine. Like I know where it's.
It was Dave Smith. Dave Smith's like, Adam, I like you, but that wasn't funny. Just kind of crass. Like
a little not my style. This blows me away too about that. Is fucking. I've had multiple people tell me like I told Dave I don't think he's funny. I'm like, why? Why would you say that to him? Just don't say anything. I was like, you guys don't have to say anything. It's so weird. You guys have to make it a point to be like, dude, Dave, I fucking love you. And like, you saved my life. And like, I fucking follow you till you die. Your comedy is shit, though. It's like, why?
It's like, just so cut it off right before that. or don't say anything. Saying nothing is better than doing that, because like you said, he's going to remember the negative part. He's not going to remember the rest of it. You could be like, I decided not to kill myself because of you, Dave. Like you changed my life, but you didn't do a very good job tonight. And what's he going to remember? He's not going to remember that he re-inspired you and saved your life. It's like, oh man, my comedy wasn't that good. So
Yeah.
don't do it, guys. Don't do it.
Fucking assholes. Bree coming out to Minnesota's convention next year with Adam. I'm gonna try. I think I will. I'm probably coming out there.
Hey, if your Libertarian Party will fly me out there, I'll do it. That's the deal. So
there you go. You heard it here first. I said like a child. Forced to hear it here first.
That's how they say it in some areas of New England too. So yeah.
It's true. Which again, I will be there this Saturday. Come on out, New Hampshire. Get your tickets. Justin.com/events. Yay. So the thing I did want to talk to you about is the DeSantis versus Disney fight that's been going on. And this is another interesting thing to me because just like the Twitter Musk buyout is now all these people, before it was like, it's a private company. Now they're like, you can't do that. You can't do that. Now like they're two flipped literally in like a week's time. What do you think about the whole Disney DeSantis thing? Like, you think, for my take is like, anytime you start using laws for shit, even though like we might like it because it's like, like fuck Disney thing or whatever, well, that's gonna come back to bite us in the ass at one point down the road. So I'm always against that. But what's your take on it?
I think it's a little complicated. I mean, I think I agree with you more than the other people. I don't think the precedent argument works anymore though, because like look at California, what they did to businesses already. So like the whole idea, like if we do this, the left will use it against us later. I can see that that's not really a valid argument anymore because they're doing it anyway. Like they've been doing it for the last couple of years. So, but I think, this is a broader issue than just Disney and, the Florida government. I think we have reached a place where corporations and the state are almost like indistinguishable from each other in a lot of ways. I think the cure to that is capitalism. It's not further treating corporations like the state. So a lot of people are saying like, we can't tell the difference between these two. So that means we need to start treating corporations like the state. It's like, no, that's how we got here by treating corporations like the state. We need to start treating corporations like private company. They need to not get a cent of our tax dollars. We want the separation to increase. So 100% against bailing any banks or corporations out, giving them any stimulus, any money. But this idea that like we need to get reparations from them somehow, or, like we need to use the state to realign corporations to have a freer market. Like this is how giant agribusiness became a thing, because decades ago, the government thought we need to invest in these farms so that they'll have an even playing field in a competitive market. And that led us to where we have all these giant corporations running the farms now. It's also what happened after the Civil War with Reconstruction. The government subsidized a bunch of corporations, the steel companies, the railroads, the coal companies. And then this is why you ended up having someone like Teddy Roosevelt, who, had to do the breakup of the monopolies created by a free market. Like anytime this is happening, it's because of the government. And then anytime you try to use the government to come in and realign it in a way you like, it's just going to backfire. So, I don't like Disney. And I agree with Ron DeSantis's education bill. I haven't read it, so I shouldn't say that 100%. I haven't read the whole thing, but from what I've heard about it, not sexualizing kids, K through 3 or whatever, it makes sense to me. Like if it's a government school and you are required by law to send your kids there, then yeah, I would prefer that they're not being taught that stuff. So I agree politically with DeSantis. Yeah, I think I agree with you. Like, I don't think that, removing their, even though like, this is where it gets kind of tricky because Disney has privileges almost, you could call them, that other people don't. They don't have to pay taxes, which I don't think anyone should have to pay taxes. So a lot of people are saying, since they don't have to pay taxes, they have an unfair advantage, or we should level the playing field. I don't know. Like, I have never thought that about churches, and some churches, like mega churches, they are political forces, like Joel Osteen's church. And then like people like who's that televangelist asshole who's on Fox News all the time?
Oh,
Back in the
Pat
day?
Robertson.
Pat Robertson. Yeah, like
Yeah.
you can't say those people aren't influencing politics or culture or whatever.
Oh, for sure.
But I don't think we should increase taxes on them. You know, like I just think that's a weird kind of area to get into. So in principle, that's kind of what I think. But in reality, like I kind of like the fact that Disney and DeSantis are fighting each other right now. It's kind of entertaining, and like I don't really consider either of them my friends. So,
Right.
watching it from afar, it's kind of like, okay, fight. You know, I'm interested to see how it plays out, what happens. And this is another thing with DeSantis. Like, as far as being a governor goes, I think he's been one of the better governors throughout the last couple of years. I mean, the pickings are extremely slim, but he's been one of the better governors. And so I think when he does something good, we should applaud him for it. And when he doesn't do something good, we shouldn't applaud him for it. The big reason I'm worried about DeSantis is I think he is being set up to be the Republican nominee in 2024. And he would be a horrible president. Like, I don't think people know at all about his background. Sorry, Jose's.
Chiming in. I was waiting for you to finish. I was going to say, Jose chiming in saying churches shouldn't be tax free either since it comes with strings attached. There are reasons why they were all on lockdown. Same goes for corporate. I guess that means corporations, I'm assuming. Excuse me. Yeah, it is interesting for sure. And like, again, I'm not going to be the one to be like, oh, I think DeSantis should do this. I don't fucking know. Like, I don't fucking.
Yeah.
But it is interesting that I forgot I was just talking the other day. But I just learned like Disney's almost I learned like kind of like the Vatican, where like they have like their own police force. Is that true?
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
They own like a county in Florida. So this is the other layer to it. Clint had Judge Knapp on his show, and they did a really interesting episode on this. And if Disney were to lose its status, then the local governments are going to have to raise tax money to provide for the roads and the police or whatever. And it sounds like that's probably not going to happen because lots of Disney employees live in these counties that would have to vote to revoke Disney's special status. And then on top of that, even if they did, then all these localities are going to have to pick up the slack and start paying for everything. So it seems like this is just a political stunt again. And the other thing is, I think you're seeing people like argue like for Disney so hard, like they're just throwing everything at like, oh, I'm behind Disney in this, libertarians like just dying on this hill of defending Disney. And then you're seeing some other libertarians like die on the hill of defending DeSantis. And I'm just like, I don't know, like I don't really care that much about this. And in a real sense, it's kind of fun to just watch them fight each other. So, I think it's a bit of a messy situation and it's kind of confusing. So there's probably not like a really clear principled libertarian answer. You could make some arguments like what Jose was just saying, or ones like you or I were just saying. I don't know. Like, it's just a weird thing for people to get so divided and so entrenched over. So I don't really give a fuck. Like, I'm kind of interested to see how it plays out though, because Disney's not a small player, and DeSantis and the Florida legislature are like giving it to him. So I don't know. I'm just interested to see what the fallout is. Who knows?
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. Like I said, I don't have a dog in the fight. I just think it's interesting to see these two fucking giant, essentially giant entities go back and forth now each other. This is from Top. Yes, thank you. I did just shave. I buzzed my beard today, and I buzzed my head. Fair. And then really going as usual.
Actually, I'm looking a little better than you. Well, I don't know.
That's fair. I do. I definitely like a game. It's fair.
Okay. By the way, those days are coming back soon. The stash days will be returning. It's getting warm.
Oh, are you?
So, yeah.
I will never have the balls to just go just a stash. I always have to have a beard with the stash because I think it looks better for me. I think I look like a straight pedophile if I just rock a stash, dude. I'm like, nah. I think I looks like I just touch kids. I 100% look like I touch kids and drive a white van. I can't. I gotta rock a beard with it too. Fucking. Also like Disney too, like and then we'll all get Disney thing, but like they're not gonna fucking leave Florida.
No.
Like fuck you. Like I know.
How
Like,
can they leave Florida?
I know.
They
Like
got
you had
buildings
Disney
and rides
stands. Who, by the way, Disney adults are fucking creeps. They creep me out. Like I like Disney. I mean, technically, I guess I like Disney now, especially because they bought all the things I like anyway.
Dude, fuck Disney. They ruined Star Wars.
Hey, I know. But The Mandalorian's good.
I haven't seen that, but yeah, I mean,
good.
I stopped watching Star Wars movies after. Well, that's a lie because so this is what happened. I saw what is The Last Jedi? I think
So bad.
It's so horrible.
So bad.
And I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm not watching any of these. And then I was on a plane ride, and Episode 9 was one of the movies, and there wasn't anything else to watch. So I was like, okay, fuck it, I'll just watch it. And it was really bad. So
it's terrible.
No, it was like, okay, whatever. So I haven't watched Solo or The Mandalorian or any of that stuff. After that, I was just like, meh.
Solo was good. In fact, I was going to bring up Rogue One, by the way.
Rogue One is good. That's the only good one.
Arguably is like the 4th best Star Wars movie. It's because like the thing with that Rogue One, sorry, nerd talk, everybody. The thing about Rogue One is like you don't have to like Star Wars to like Rogue One. It was like a war movie. It was like an espionage movie with Star Wars themes, but it wasn't really like.
Well, I felt like the 7, 8, and 9. They didn't feel like Star Wars movies. They felt like Avengers movies or something. Like the atmosphere was just off.
Bad.
I felt like Rogue One felt like kind of that grittiness of the original Star Wars movies. I was like, okay, yeah. So I thought it was good.
I jerk off to that Vader scene. Are you kidding me? That's the coolest fucking scene when he's just
great.
Dude, because I love that scene so much. It's like I love villains in like comic books and movies. Like I love a good villain. Right. And that's what bums me out about a lot of the comic book movies. A lot, especially is like the villains aren't good. Or they fuck them up or whatever. And like Vader to me is like top 3 all-time villain in any medium, whatever. Right.
Yeah.
And to see him like just run through these dudes with ease and the unstoppable force and the look in their eyes of like, oh, we can't stop this guy. And like just like the complete panic, like that's such a cool fucking moment in like a film or movie, and like they don't do that in like a lot of things anymore, and it sucks. But that's why Rogue One was so good and shit like that. All right, nerd talk's over. People are like, fucking stop talking about Star Wars. I don't care. But yeah, fuck Disney. They did.
Well, I mean, I think that might have been the last. Well, I don't know. I don't watch movies that often anymore. Like
me either.
The last time I sat down and watched a whole movie was probably 6 months ago now. Like, I just don't watch movies that often. So I think I saw Avengers Endgame. That's Disney, right? That I watched that in the theater.
Yeah.
I think that's the last one I saw. I think that's the last one I saw in the theater. So I don't know. What did that come out 3 years ago? 2 years ago?
More
4 years ago? I don't know. How long is that? It's been a while.
Yeah, I don't even know. I feel like it's been forever. I want to say 23 years ago. Avengers Endgame came out. That's how long ago. I did see Batman in like physically but
so I don't. All I'm saying is like all this talk about like I don't support Disney financially. I don't give them anything. So I don't know. Like I think the most libertarian solution is voting with your dollars. So.
Yeah, you're right.
That's what I do. So
and like it sucks because like for me, I grew up in the 90s as a legitimate comic book nerd before it was fucking cool. I got beat up.
Disney made it cool.
Yeah, so like
so
now
it's tough. I get it.
They put all the stuff that I've wanted to see my whole life. It's now being made well, and I'm like, fuck.
So you want Elon Musk to buy Disney?
Yeah, Elon, buy Marvel and Star Wars. Take it back.
Well, so that's a shareholder deal too, right? Like, couldn't a bunch of people go buy Disney stock or?
I own Disney stock, actually.
Okay.
I think.
Oh, do you?
I've owned it. Well, my dad owned it for a long ass time, and then like I think he just gave it to me somehow. So now I own it. Like he wrote it off to me. So I own Disney stock.
I mean, we could crush this whole shareholder business, right? Like libertarians and conservatives are more financially, stable than liberals and communists typically. So if we just went and just start spending our money wisely and buying shares in all these corporations, then we could really shift the culture in a way we want to. So
Dude,
don't know.
my that's a great line you just said. Is like typically we're better with our money. It's like yeah, because again, comedy mostly lefty
Yeah.
world, and I look at people I do comedy with, and they're like, "How do you have like money?" I'm like, "How do you not?" like I'm like, "Oh, because I don't like you never worked really." And like you just thought like you could kind of do open mics and like you're just gonna hit it big from someone seeing you and like
Yeah.
not invest anything or like work harder. I'm like, yeah, you have no fucking work ethic, dummy. And like that's why. So like if you just kind of put together in the comedy world, people think you're like a god.
Yeah.
Like no, I'm just not a complete fucking retard. It's not that hard.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I've always been on the other side because, I don't know where this idea that blue collar workers are mostly Democrat comes from. I've never seen that to be the case. Everywhere I've
Where
ever
has
worked,
that ever been a thing in
I don't
real
know.
practicality ever?
No, it's always been Republicans. So
Yeah.
I like, I have grown up and worked for most of my life with like just the cringe right, like kind of the boomer con right. So I feel for you guys like in the comedy who are on the other side, like have to do the cringe left or whatever. Like there isn't a libertarian industry other than podcasting. That's it. So that's the only
Yeah.
time you get to like meet with people who think the same thing you do.
Pretty much. Like I'll be honest with you. Like I won't say the comics name because I like him personally. I just what he's very woke.
Mhm.
He's I only want to say I like him. He's a really good guy. But
Yeah.
like we had him on a show, a comedy a book show we run, and the audience afterwards, because we do our show right outside of Philly in this place called Chalfont in Bucks County, where I live in Bucks County, but it's like the north end of where I live. I live in the south part of Bucks. It's a blue collar town. It's, it's like average salary is like 60 grand around there. It's most people
Yeah.
just do blue collar shit, and he just had a whole woke set. And everyone was very polite to him and stuff like that. But afterwards, people were like, "Yo, don't bring that shit back here. like we don't want to hear that shit." I'm like, sorry, like he is good, but like when he doesn't do his woke shit, like he
Yeah.
just decided to do it. And it's like, yeah, man, you got to play to your audience, man. Like I can't make libertarian jokes in New York City
Right.
unless I'm at a libertarian show, right?
Yeah.
Like I was at the Delaware. I did the kind of the Delaware convention, and I was talking about like this thing that happened to me with Joe Jorgensen, and like that's only gonna be funny to you guys,
Yeah.
right? Like I can't
Yeah.
be like, so Joe Jorgensen was next to my stage one time, and like at the stand in New York, people were like, who the fuck is it? What?
Yeah.
The fuck off? Like, who are you?
Yeah.
It's like, so yeah, I'm like, I wouldn't do that. Like you shouldn't probably do mad woke shit to a fucking room of mainly blue collar dudes and chicks who was like, I just want to hear dick jokes. Like I don't want to hear
Yeah.
that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the same thing goes for just like talking to people about libertarianism. Like if you just are a nerd and you're just talking about like the state is a, manipulative cult that wants to murder your children, blah, blah, like if you're just trying to talk to some dude about that, he's probably not going to listen to you. Like I was hanging out with my uncle the last couple days. He came, so I'm moving back to New Hampshire in about a month, and he lives in Colorado. So he wanted to get a ride in the truck before I left. So we went up to Boise, Idaho, and back here to Salt Lake. And we were talking on the way up north. And, I know where he comes from. Like he's kind of a boomer con, right-wing dude. So I was going, and he was a business owner. So that's kind of the angle I went from. I'm not just going to lay into it and be like, yeah, fuck the police and, just kind of this autistic libertarian approach.
Yeah.
You try to start where someone will have some sort of common ground of what you're saying. And then you could try to shift them in the right direction and they'll be like, yeah, I see what you're saying there. And yeah, I don't know. Like that's the, that's what non-autists do, or at least people who aren't like crippled by their autism do,
But, like, okay, so I was talking about this on my comedy podcast the other day, but like I go to the dog park with my dog pretty frequently, especially in the summer and springtime and stuff. And I'm neutral. Like I don't want to just talk politics with dog park. I'm not that guy like who's just out in the world being like, who wants to hear my unsolicited opinion? Like, no, I'm not that guy. But I'm sitting there the other day and I'm listening to just a bunch of fucking white dudes and white women who again never left the suburbs really of like, Pennsylvania, just being just wrong about historical, like, this isn't like opinion things of like left, right. It's like wrong. One guy was like, oh, he's like, oh yeah, well, it's like our money being backed by stuff, and he was like, well, the IRS was like invented to fund the war, and I was like, that's not true. I was like, and I'm just sitting there, I'm like, actually, it's not true, and like, you chime in, but then you would think people would be like, oh, well, what do you mean by that? They just double down though. They just go, no, I'm right, and I'm like, okay, and then we got into like a conversation with the gold standard. And I was like, well, Nixon actually took us to the gold standard in 71, 72. And this guy's like, no, Roosevelt did. It's like, no, he didn't. He suspended it, but he didn't take us off. Like, that was 72. And he was like, no, it was Teddy Roosevelt. I went, I don't know how not to be a dick right now to you, but I'm like, how many economics books have you read? Have you read anything? I'm like, he's like, no. I went, cool. Okay, so I'm at least a little ahead of you on this. So I'm like, have you heard of the website whathappened in 1971.com? He's like, no. I go, okay, and I started explaining this all, and then I explained more about the Nixon thing, and then after all that, he's just like, I think it was Teddy Roosevelt. I was like, fuck you, man. I was like, I don't, like, what do you do to those people? Like, like, they don't want to hear it. Like, they just don't want to hear what you got to say. So it's like, you're just a lost cause, brother. Like, I don't know. Good luck, dude.
Yeah, I mean, most people are like that. My dad is an English teacher, and he used to teach philosophy, and he just stopped like 10 years ago because it was just at the point where he was like, why am I still teaching this? Because it was an elective that he didn't have to teach. He was just doing it kind of for fun. But he would, try to get people to realize that they were contradicting themselves by believing a certain philosophy, and they just didn't care. They'd be like, yeah, so what? And it was like, what's the point of discourse when you get to that point? If people aren't looking for truth, then arguing doesn't matter, because they're just gonna be like, yeah, whatever, I don't care, I don't believe you, no, you're wrong. And that's, I mean, I feel like that's been intentional. Like I feel like the establishment doesn't want people to care about what's right, or about what's true even, or any of that. Like, I feel like they've tried to remove that over time. Everything's relative. There is no, or everything's subjective. There is no actual truth to anything. Do what makes you feel good, whether or not it's actually good. And then, that's encouraged people to stop thinking about reality. So they don't think about, hey, how much is this car going to cost me? They just think, can I make this payment week to week? That's all that really matters. So then things like ownership and all those, concepts just fade away. And so then you get to a point where you can't even save people from themselves because you can't argue with them anymore, and you can't convince them of, the importance of something because they're just out to lunch. So I mean, it's bad.
Which that's kind of a good way to bring up on the last thing I want to bring up with you is Reno's coming up in a month, give or take, at the end of pretty much a month. Obviously, we had a big shift here in PA. I don't know if you heard about the new Keystone Party here.
The Keystone Party?
Oh, you haven't heard of this?
No. Or I might have, but I forgot if I did. Sorry.
Fun. No, this is fun. This is going to be fun for you. This is going to be fun for you to hear. Okay, so all the lowbirds that were in PA for the last 2 years that said all the things about the Mises guys and all, like, how if we lose, we're just going to take our ball and go home. We're going to quit. We're going to rage quit. We're going to cry. All this. We're going to start our own thing. Yada, 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 yada. Cool. We won. We beat them in the convention. And then they all left and started their own party.
The Keystone Party? That's what they went with?
The Keystone Party of PA. Guess what their logo is?
A pipeline?
It's an owl.
Yeah.
It's an owl, which... creepy. I don't know. Moloch is an owl. Also, the pet. I think Pedo was used that as. I'm not saying anything to say, and it's weird. That's a symbol also, but no, but like it's just the people that fucking said we were gonna do all that shit. They just did all that shit. That's what it's the projection of them is like so front and center. It's crazy. So they're not libertarians anymore. They're out of the party. They all, most of them, like, left the party. They resigned. They gave up the positions, whatever the fuck may be. So they're out. So which is good because it helps PA, but it also helps us nationally because a
Yeah.
lot of those people would have also probably try to vote nationally. Now they're out.
Yeah.
They literally cannot vote. So what do you think is going to happen in Reno?
Well, I think there's going to be a basic clean sweep. I mean, I'm from Utah, and there's no turmoil in Utah really, but 10 of the 13 delegates are Mises from Utah, and the other
49 out of the 49 from here are Mises.
yeah. So, and the other 3 are Mises happy or Mises sympathetic. So this is the thing. Like we've got a few people in our party here in Utah that aren't Mises, and they're not edgy, and they're not even necessarily interesting or exciting, but they're just not bitch fuck cucks. They're not a drag. They're not like they're not a detriment to the Libertarian Party. They're not trying to pull people down and screw them over. And, so that's fine. Like, I don't want to kick someone like Justin Amash out of the party. Like, he's kind of boring and kind of milquetoast, but he's not a bitch, and he's not trying to stop whatever we're doing.
Right.
So people like that are fine. And it's probably good we have some of those people actually who are a little more even keeled and a little more mild than we are. Because if we're influencing them instead of the bitch fuck cuck loser brigade influencing them, then we're going to make them more based, and they're going to be able to be like, hey guys, like you might want to tone it down a little bit for this. So that's all cool. But yeah, I'm feeling good about it. I think the direction's going to change here after Reno. What I'm worried about is like, and this is something Jose has said, like, what about 5 years from now or 10 years from now? Like, how do you maintain that? Because we've seen what happened with Young Americans for Liberty. And if you want to talk about a based organization at its beginning right there, like now they're going woke and they're
wild, right?
Like
it's so weird.
Yeah, defending Liz Cheney. It's just like, what? This is students for Ron Paul,
So weird.
So I don't know. That's my biggest worry is like what's going to happen after Reno and after 2024. I don't know. Like, I don't really, I guess the only thing we can do is try to preserve that spirit and try to make people who don't feel that way uncomfortable so they'll leave. Because we didn't have to kick anyone out. They just left defeated and they're gone. Like, that's perfect. So they were self-deported, so to speak.
Yeah. I mean, I'm telling you, the amount of people that left in PA was nuts. Like 15, 20 people. Like, just gone. Like, Thanos snap, dude. Just fucking out of there. Yeah. Like, it wild. We're like, all right, like we didn't kick you out, like you just and like all these people. I had like a Q&A on my podcast like before the thing with all the candidates running like for this state party stuff like XCOM stuff.
Yeah.
And we asked the question, if you lose, will you stay and help other candidates run? Yep, absolutely. I'm here for the LPPA. I'm here for the Libertarian Party.
No.
No, you're not. you literally turned and ran the second you could.
Yeah.
And like, just to go back on again, the Lowbertsness, lack of self-awareness or nuance or jokes or humor or anything like that. Their candidate who's running for governor, this fucking guy, Joe Slosky, he's a cunt. He really is a fucking cunt.
Yeah.
The day before the LPPA convention, he posted like a picture on social media, like with like a gun, being like waiting for the Mises bus to show. Like clearly he's joking. Like we all, because I understand that, right? We all understand that. But we went, yo, if we did that shit,
oh yeah,
yo, you guys would be like, Nazis, call the fucking feds. They're gonna shoot us when we show up. Like they're so fucking like, and we're like, yeah, no, we get the joke. Like we understand what he's saying. It's hyperbole. Like we're just pointing out the hypocrisy here.
Yeah.
That if this was the other way around, you guys know for fucking certain it would just be the worst thing that ever happened in the world. But they suck.
Yeah,
they fucking suck.
Yep. For sure. Yeah. But, I mean, when I first joined the Libertarian Party, I didn't even know there was a void or, I didn't realize there was this split between like the Gary Johnson people and the Ron Paul people, because I had never been involved with the party or even really with the movement. I had just identified, or I didn't even identify as a libertarian. I called myself an independent, but I thought of myself as a libertarian, like Rand Paul. I voted for Gary Johnson and I liked Ron Paul. And I thought that was pretty much, how everyone felt. And then I joined the party and I was just like, holy shit, like everyone hates each other. But
Yeah.
like I said, there's some people in the middle who are chill, but yeah, a lot of those people on the other side, they're just vile and they just hate you. You don't even need to give them a reason to. They just do. So if those people want to leave, fuck them, leave. I
was going to say, I remember you used to be the fucking Unity guy, and you're like, you know what? I'm done. Like, I can see the light here. I see what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, at a certain point, like, and I think that still had some, good, that fulfilled a certain purpose in the end. Like, because there were people who were like me, who were like, what is all this takeover stuff? Like, who cares? Like, why is everyone fighting? And then to see what happened over last year, I think it was good for a lot of people, including myself, to be like, oh yeah, okay, never mind. These people just suck. So here we are. I'm still for unity with people who actually care about, ending the wars, ending the Fed, ending the drug war, stuff like that. But if you care more about, respecting people's pronouns or, having a stand with Ukraine flag or in your bio or whatever, like go get fucked, because that's not the most important to me.
That's exactly my, and again, not to bring this Hody guy again, but like, that's what he kept talking about with Clint a lot, was he was like, well, there was a Mises person who said something about trans. I'm like, who gives it? And I don't mean like who gives a fuck about like I'm just saying like, oh, so one person?
Yeah.
So like who gives a fuck, dude? That's crazy. Yeah. It's like, it's just and every time Clint would bring up another point, he would always go back to like the trans. I'm like, this is all you, so all you really care about is like the fucking pronoun shit or like the trans shit, which again, like fine, but like, well, one guy says something off color, so that means the whole entire caucus is fucking garbage.
Yeah, right.
Like, it's like, so the cathedral guys were actively trying to dox people, but that's okay.
Yeah.
What's worse?
Yeah.
Like, what's worse? Like saying a fucking joke that's fucked up or trying to ruin someone's career? Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Which is kind of why, like, 100%. I dig what I do, because like I don't have a day job, so like this is what I do. So like, fucking come after me. I don't give a fuck. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
So,
I 100% agree, man. Fuck them all. So
fuck them all. Fuck them all. Is a good way to end it on this. Reed, please plug all the stuff you got going on. You fucking amazing podcast or anything else you want to give away, please.
Yeah, sure. So tomorrow, well, first of all, my podcast is The Naturalist Capitalist. And you can find me on YouTube, Odyssey, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that happy horse shit. And then you could follow me, Reed Coverdale, on Twitter, Instagram, Gab, Getter, Float, even though no one uses them, as we were saying earlier. I'm the only Reed Coverdale and the only Naturalist Capitalist out there. So pretty easy to find. Tomorrow night, Dave Smith is coming on my podcast. This is the third time that we're trying this, so hopefully it works. Third time's the charm. First time, he has some scheduling conflicts. Second time, I had shit Wi-Fi in a hotel in Vegas. So this time we're going to be good to go. I'm going to be at my house and we're going to make it happen. So yeah, tune in for that. That's going to be at 9 p.m. Eastern time. And yeah, I will be in Reno. I'm hoping to be at Top Lobster's place in Florida, not this coming weekend, but the following one with Robbie the Fire and all the boys, if I can make it. And then I'll be at Pork Fest. So yeah, hope to see you guys there.
Yeah, I might also be there. Not sure yet.
Which one?
Pork Fest.
Okay, yeah.
No, I might be in Florida separately soon. That's a different thing. But yeah, I might be in Pork Fest also. Also, Dave, come to my fucking show. You want a Jacob show, and he's not letting me let that down, so I have to have Dave on my show now.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's crazy.
Hey, but you've been on Tower Gang at least twice.
Yeah,
right?
No, he'll never do that.
Yeah, so you got him.
That's true. Yeah. Okay. I'm actually going on Jacob's show right after this.
Oh, there you go.
Reed, don't get off. I want to talk to you off air and say all goodbyes off air and stuff like that. But everybody, thanks for coming on. You're the best. Everybody, thanks again for tuning in and checking us out. I'll be back next week with David Brady, the young bull himself. David Brady will be on. So check that out, guys. All right, everybody else, peace.
Thanks for listening. Find Adam on social media, Twitter and IG at Adam Nutter, or Facebook and TikTok at Adam Nutter Comedy. And for podcasts and merch, check out www.droptent.com. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe so you never miss an episode.
This has been a Drop Tent Media production.